Hi, I'm an animal control officer for the Save Texas, and this is another story time. I showed up way too early for work, so I thought I'd share the story. Is one of the most embarrassing stories of my entire life, because I thought I was going to die. So my entire life, I've been told that I've been allergic to bees. Bees, wasps, anything that has a stinger, okay? The last time that I was stung by a bee was probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I can't remember that, obviously, and my mom told me that my whole body had blown up and I had to go get like emergency treatment and all this other good stuff. I was so convinced my entire childhood that I was allergic to bees that I would panic anytime that I seen one. Even when I went into the military, I got a red tag for bees. Basically, that's like a little tag in my boot that says I'm allergic to bees if I get stung, and then the medics know what to do with me at that point. It was wild. So I'm telling you, I was deathly afraid I was going to get stung at some point and then I was going to die. So about 2 years after the pandemic had started, this is when we were probably no longer wearing masks at this point, so I can't really tell you what time frame it was, except for I know it was between the summer months because it was super hot. But I was chasing this dog. It was an aggressive animal call, and it went between two fences. And the break between these two fences was like a 1 foot gap, so I'm kind of like shimming my way through these fences to try to get the dog, because again, it's aggressive. I have to impound it. Well, I'm shimmying through this fence, and all of a sudden I hear buzzing, and I'm have so much adrenaline pumping through my system that I'm not registering what that noise might be. And all of a sudden I see a bunch of wasps or hornets. I'm not sure what they were. I just know they weren't honeybees, and they're circling around my face. And then all of a sudden I feel like 6-7 stings on like the right side of my face, in my ear, like going after me, and I'm screaming. And at this time too, I had already called my supervisor to come like assist me, I think, and so I knew that they were on the way. So I like run out, completely abandon the aggressive animal, and I run back to my unit, and I'm like looking at my face. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got stung, and I'm freaking out. So me being told my entire life I think I'm gonna die. Now, a great question would be like, Anissa, did you have an EpiPen? No. For some reason that day, I didn't have an EpiPen. Okay, I did it. And I haven't used an EpiPen ever, because the last time I got stung by a bee was when I was like a kid. Now, that might seem like the stupidest thing you've ever heard. And it is. It's stupid, because why wouldn't I have an EpiPen with me if I'm so allergic to bees? So my first rational thought is I'm going to call everybody in my family and let them know that I'm probably going to die because I don't have an EpiPen and I was nowhere near a hospital. So I'm calling my wife, and I'm telling her, I'm like sobbing on the phone. I get off the phone with her, and then I call my dad, and then at the end I call my mom. Me and my mom have a strenuous relationship. Anyway, I call her, and I'm like screaming that I just got stung by a bee, and she's panicking, I'm panicking. It's just like this big panic fest, okay? Well, in this time, if you're truly allergic to bees, I'm assuming your face would have started to swell up with the amount of stings that I got, right? Well, it wasn't, and I was too scared to even like register that information. Looking back on it, there was no swelling except for like the sting itself. Like my face wasn't inflating, my airways weren't closing. Anyways, so my supervisor arrives on scene. He's like checking over me to make sure that I'm okay, right? And he's like telling me, he's like, Anissa, it looks fine. It looks fine. It doesn't look like it's swelling. He's like, you can still breathe. And I said, yeah, at this time, like 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'm fine. Okay, I'm absolutely fine. Eventually, an hour goes by, and he's like, hey, why don't you go home and rest? Because, like, I was panicking. Like, I thought, for some reason, I was panicking. At this point, if I was so worried, I should have gone to the hospital. You know what I mean? I mean, like, that's stupid on my part. Anyways, the bee stings weren't bad. Nothing happened. And I had to call my mom. I'm like, you made me believe my entire life I was allergic to bees, and I was never allergic. At least not to wasps. I don't know if wasps and honeybees have, like, the same strain of stinger. I don't know. But it was the most embarrassing thing in my entire life, and the response for me is the stupidest thing. Why didn't I have an EpiPen? If I was so scared, why didn't I go to the hospital? I don't know, girl. I don't know. And now my boss makes fun of me every single time he sees a bee. So now I have to live with that.